Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Renegade Immortal based on novel. So let's start. Du Qian. Zhu Qzi was wearing a fiery red robe, and his hair was moving without any wind. Although he looked ancient, he still exuded a very oppressive aura. This person casually stood there as the sky darkened. All of the light was coming from his fiery robe, completely displaying his dominance over planet Suzaku. One couldn't feel a strand of spiritual energy, or even celestial spiritual energy in his body, but early-stage ascendant cultivators would be forced to retreat, and even mid-stage ascendant old monsters would unconsciously back up. He was the only late-stage ascendant cultivator on planet Suzaku. The true ruler of planet Suzaku. Zhu Qzi calmly said, "Back then, my country of Suzaku made an agreement with your soul-refining sect. When the country of Suzaku is in danger, you must lend us the 1 billion soul flag. Today this old man is here to borrow the flag. Du Qian, bring it here." Nonsense. Du Qian gripped the 1 billion soul flag tightly as he stared at Zhu Qzi and shouted, "How come I have never heard of this agreement from any of the ancestors before? Old thief Zhu Q, if you want to steal it, just come and take it, no need to put on this disgusting act." Zhu Qzi looked at Du Qian, shook his head slightly and sighed. "This matter was decided between the first-generation Suzaku and your founding ancestor, so it's natural that you don't know about, but I found out about it in some old records. Today I'm not here to steal but to borrow." With that, he reached out. The sky changed colors and red light gathered from all directions. The red light formed a giant red hand that pressed down toward Du Qian. Du Qian shouted, "Old thief." He waved the soul flag and without any hesitation, released all 1 billion soul fragments. Aside from the fourth soul, the remaining 35 primary souls were also sent out. Everything 100 kilometers was covered in soul fragments. Their screams and shrills filled the area. The combined voice of the 1 billion soul fragments was more powerful than any sound wave treasure. The earth within 100 kilometers began to tremble and the surrounding mountains collapsed. The 35 primary souls of the 1 billion soul fragment all had fierce expressions as they tore the red hand to pieces. Then they surrounded Zhu Qzi and stared at him viciously. Zhu Qzi looked at the surrounding 1 billion soul fragments. His pupils shrank slightly as he calmly said, "Du Qian, since you remain so stubborn, this old man will have to punish you in place of your ancestors. I said I only wanted to borrow the 1 billion soul flag, so I'll borrow it and then I will return it to you." Du Qian laughed with mockery in his eyes. "Borrow? How long do you want to borrow it for?" Zhu Qzi's expression was serious as he said, "Lend it to the country of Suzaku for 10,000 years. After 10,000 years, we will naturally return it. Old thief Zhu Q, my soul-refining sect has a saying, if the flag is here, the sect still exists. If you want it, you can try to take it." Du Qian's eyes became cold as his hands formed a seal, and then he pointed at Zhu Qzi. Fuse. The surrounding 1 billion soul fragments immediately began to gather on the 35 primary souls, and then the primary souls began to fuse with each other. Zhu Qzi's eyes lit up. He couldn't allow this fusion to continue. He reached out and a red feather appeared in his hand. He sent the feather forward, then it suddenly began to burn and release a ghostly light. "Holy Suzaku flame." Zhu Qzi's ancient voice boomed from his mouth. The burning feather trembled and suddenly collapsed. A surge of fire began to spread with the feather as the center, and immediately covered the surrounding 100 kilometers. The power of this flame was unimaginable. The 3 mountains of the soul-refining sect were turned into black, viscous liquid. However, this liquid quickly turned to gas. Even the cave Wang Lin was in disappeared, and Wang Lin disappeared along with the cave. The entire soul-refining sect disappeared from planet Suzaku. The hundreds of disciples and even the 3 soul formation elders hiding in the 3 golden rings weren't able to escape this calamity. The 35 primary soul fragments that were about to fuse were also surrounded by the fire. Black gas was floating up from their bodies and they all had painful expressions on their faces. Holy Suzaku flame, Du Qian's face was very ugly. There were 3 ancient jades floating around him. They were blocking the flame. Zhu Qiuzi's expression was calm as he slowly said, Du Qian, the heavens are just. I originally didn't want to do this, but you forced me. Du Qian took a deep breath, bit the tip of his tongue, spat out a large mouthful of blood, and sat down in the lotus position. Then his hand formed a seal and he said, Soul escape. Du Qian wasn't his original name, but his Daoist name that his teacher had given him. He once told Wang Lin that all users of the soul flag have different ways of using it, and his special method was escaping. The 35 primary souls released a green light, and then disappeared from within the fire. When they reappeared, they were before Du Qian. What's this? Zhu Qiuzi was surprised. Fuse. Du Qian spat out more blood. This time the blood landed on one of the primary souls. Then, in an instant, the 34 other primary souls fused with it. In the blink of an eye, an aura that could match Zhu Qiuzi appeared and the sky seemed to have been split in 2. The left side was fiery red, representing Zhu Qiuzi. The right side was black, representing the late-stage ascendant soul formed by the 35 primary souls and 1 billion soul fragments. The moment this soul fragment appeared, it waved its hand, pushing all of the flames that were on the right side to the left side. Like the sky, the ground was split between black and red. Zhu Qiuzi's pupils shrank. His expression was a bit ugly as he stared at the soul and said, not bad. With that power, it can be considered the top treasure of planet Suzaku. Du Qian's face was deathly pale. He only had less than 2 years left, and now that he had used the soul flag's fusion technique, he was almost out of time. He softly whispered, kill him. The late-stage ascendant soul fragment didn't go forward, but raised its hand. A rumbling sound came from all directions as clouds gathered to form a human-shaped body. This body was made of clouds and at a glance was no different from a mortal. The ascendant soul fragment took a step forward and fused with the body made of clouds. The cloud person opened his ghostly eyes and stared at Zhu Qiuzi. To form a body from the clouds, that is indeed only something late-stage ascendant cultivators can do. However, you are created from fusion. I want to see how long you can last. Zhu Qiuzi's expression was ugly. With that, he waved his hand. A red light appeared in front of him and transformed into a short, red sword. The moment the sword appeared, the flame on the ground was sucked into the sword. This sword is very ancient, and no one knows its true name. The first generation Suzaku got it, and named it the Suzaku sword. With that, Zhu Qiuzi pointed at the sword with his right hand. The flying sword immediately glowed red, as if it were filled with celestial spiritual energy. This sword was no different from the sword of a celestial. This sword was a celestial treasure. The cloud person's eyes lit up and he waved his right hand. His entire right hand flew off and became a sword that was the same as the Suzaku sword. Aside from the color, it looked exactly the same as the Suzaku sword, even the enormous amount of celestial spiritual energy was the same. Then he pointed at Zhu Qiuzi and the small, white sword shot forth. The red and white swords collided with each other like meteors. After a series of collisions, the white sword was clearly no match and was pushed back. However, the red sword had taken hits from the white sword's powerful celestial spiritual energy, so it was slowed down. The cloud person stared at Zhu Qiuzi and let out a faint smile. Then his cloud body collapsed to form 8 more copies of the exact same sword. Each one of them contained an enormous amount of celestial spiritual energy. The 8 swords shot out at once. 3 of them went after the Suzaku sword, and the remaining 5 went toward Zhu Qiuzi. Zhu Qiuzi's expression was ugly as he backed up few hundred feet. He slapped his bag of holding to take out a gourd, then he muttered, collect. The 5 swords were surrounded by a powerful force and then, in the blink of an eye, were trapped inside the gourd. Zhu Qiuzi's eyes lit up. He was about to use the gourd to collect the 3 other swords, but just at that moment, he heard crackling sounds coming from the gourd. A second later, a heaven-shattering sound escaped from it. With a bang, the gourd shattered. The 5 swords flew out and stabbed toward Zhu Qiuzi without any hesitation. At the same time, the swords that were fighting the Suzaku sword seemed to have received an order, because they ditched the Suzaku sword and quickly flew over. Zhu Qiuzi's expression changed greatly and he quickly backed up. It was not that he was no match, but the soul formed by the soul flag was filled with death and was attacking him without any regard for its own safety. Although he was confident he could win, he would definitely be injured. Normally it wouldn't matter, but right now he didn't have much lifespan left either. If he was injured here, his lifespan would shorten. Another important matter was that the second battle with the Forsaken Immortal clan had already begun. If he got injured here, it would be very unfortunate. However, although he wanted to retreat, the swords formed by the cloud person were even faster than lightning, so they quickly approached him. Zhu Qiuzi's eyes were gloomy as his hand created a seal before him. The moment this seal appeared, a powerful aura surrounded Zhu Qiuzi. At this moment, the flying swords arrived. Boom! A sound that shook the entire continent burst forth. Zhu Qiuzi flew back like a meteor, and didn't stop for a while. The seal before him had collapsed. Although he wasn't injured, his face was deathly pale and the air of superiority he was emitting had disappeared. The 9 flying swords disappeared and turned back into soul fragments. Du Qian looked at the scene before him and bitterly said, "The mysterious Suzaku seal." The mysterious Suzaku seal is a spell that only each generation's Suzaku can learn. It can't be cultivated and is inherited from the previous Suzaku. This seal wasn't created by the first generation Suzaku. It is a spell that was given to them by the Cultivation Union. This mysterious Suzaku seal won't increase one's cultivation level, but it is very powerful. There are only 2 uses for it: attacking and defending. Its attack can destroy everything and its defense is even stronger than the entire Suzaku formation even when it's protecting just one person. No one knows how the Cultivation Union managed to create this spell. On a rank 6 cultivation planet, only one person can know the spell at a time. Unless that person dies, no one else can use it. Even if the previous Suzaku is somehow still alive, when the current Suzaku learns the mysterious Suzaku seal, the previous Suzaku loses the power of the seal. Rumor has it that using the mysterious Suzaku seal has some cost, but only the people who have learned the spell know of the cost. The seal Zhu Qiuzi had just used was that seal. The cloud person shattered. Du Qian's face was deathly pale as he stared at Zhu Qiuzi, then he suddenly started laughing. "My lifespan is almost all gone. To be able to see an old thief like you in this state is pretty satisfying." Zhu Qiuzi's expression was ugly and he was panting. He wouldn't have used the mysterious Suzaku seal unless he had to, especially if it was to use the seal to attack. He used it because he needed to keep himself in top condition for the battle against the Forsaken Immortal clan. Du Qian, your soul refining sect was once a branch of Suzaku, and your ancestors fought alongside the first generation Suzaku against the Forsaken Immortal clan. Why must you be so stubborn today? If you hand over the soul flag, I will help you rebuild the sect, help you gather disciples, and even help you make the soul refining sect its own country again. Du Qian's eyes lit up and then he let out a mischievous smile. "Old thief Zhu Qiu, I see through you now. You are afraid of getting hurt, otherwise, you wouldn't have ended up in such an embarrassing position. The war with the Forsaken Immortal clan has already started. I'm afraid you won't be able to stay here for long." Zhu Qiuzi frowned and coldly said, "Although the 11-leaf ancestor of the Forsaken Immortal clan is strong, I have an ace up my sleeve. Once that is revealed, the Forsaken Immortal clan will die for sure. Du Qian, I'll ask you one last time, will you hand over the soul flag?" Du Qian's eyes became cold. He took a cold breath and waved his hand. A golden-purple light began to flash on the flag, but it was unstable. "Old thief Zhu Qiu, I advise you to leave now and not force me to bring out the 4th soul." Du Qian's voice was filled with determination. Zhu Qiuzi's expression was ugly, but he sneered inside. He had been waiting for the 4th soul to appear. In fact, what he really wanted all along was the 4th soul. Every generation of Suzaku has studied the fourth soul in hopes of finding a way to defeat the 1 billion soul flag. Zhu Qzi was 80% confident in beating it. That was why he came today. After pondering a bit, Zhu Qzi slowly said, I have read about the power of the fourth soul in records, but I haven't seen it in person. Borrowing this chance, I really want to see just what is so special about this fourth soul. Du Qian clenched his teeth and pointed at his forehead with his left hand. He took out a ball of golden light and quickly pressed it onto the soul flag. The golden purple dot on the soul flag quickly flew out. The world is divided into 5 elements that neutralize each other and create different types of spirit roots. Having 1 element means you can cultivate, have 2 means you are smart, having 3 means you have talent, having 4 means you have heavenly talent, and having 5 means you are complete. The 5 elements are metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Having 2 is rare, have 3 is even more rare, having 4 is almost unheard of, and no one has even heard of anyone having all 5. The fourth soul was a rare person who had 3 elements, but this talent didn't manifest when he was alive. He lived like most and died when he was at the soul transformation stage, but the soul refining sect refined his soul with a special technique that turned it into something that could threaten even late-stage ascendant cultivators. To capture this soul, one requires a lot of determination, and they must open the cultivation planet crystal when one's lifespan is almost up. This part of the record flashed through Zhu Chue's head. Zhu Qzi said, in a serious tone, 3 metal soul. Du Qian let out hoarse laugh. His eyes were dim because the last of his lifespan has just been used to activate the fourth soul. The fourth soul couldn't be brought out via normal means. One must give up their life force to call it out of the soul flag. The moment the fourth soul appeared, it released a blinding, golden purple glow. Inside the glow was only one thing, a thin needle. This needle wasn't large, only as long as a thumb. It gave off a very powerful aura, far more powerful than the aura the Suzaku sword gave off. 3 metal soul was a heavenly treasure that could penetrate all substances, and its soul force could even harm origin souls. Du Qian's eyes lit up and he said, fourth soul, kill. The golden purple needle flashed and disappeared. Zhu Qzi's expression changed as he quickly backed up. At the same time, he waved his hand, causing the Suzaku sword to block before him. With a ding, a needle-sized hole appeared on the Suzaku sword. At the same time, Zhu Qzi let out a roar as he pointed to the air with his index finger. Celestial spiritual energy surged through his body, and he pressed down with his index finger. With a bang, Zhu Qzi backed up 3 steps. The golden purple light had disappeared without a trace once more, but Zhu Qzi knew that the fourth soul was still around. His expression was cold as he said, the fourth soul is indeed strong. But Du Qian, if you were at the early stage of ascendant and had used celestial spiritual energy beyond what a soul transformation cultivator can, you would be able to make it even faster and more powerful. I would have to run today if that were the case. However, if you want to kill me, the fourth soul isn't fast enough. Zhu Qzi's words had a purpose. The fourth soul he wanted to capture wasn't what it was now. He wanted the fourth soul in a much more powerful state. The only way for it to achieve a more powerful state was for it to devour a large amount of soul fragments and primary souls. It has to be said that in terms of scheming, Du Qian couldn't match Zhu Qzi. Du Qian stared at Zhu Qzi as he pointed to the air and the soul fragments collapsed. The way they collapsed was very strange. Every time there was a purple flash of light, a soul fragment would collapse. This happened very quickly, and soon a portion of the soul fragments had collapsed. The purple light became faster and faster until one could only see a purple line. Countless soul fragments were absorbed by the fourth soul. Du Qian wasn't in a position to worry about the soul fragments. Zhu Qzi's eyes lit up. He was about to move up when he suddenly stepped back. A needle-sized hole suddenly appeared in his hand and fresh blood dripped out from the wound. At this moment, more souls collapsed. Because 10 primary souls were devoured by the fourth soul, its speed had reached an unimaginable speed. Du Qian's heart ached, because 1/3 of the 1 billion soul flag was devoured by the fourth soul in an instant along with 10 primary souls. The 1 billion soul flag hadn't suffered this kind of loss in a long time. Du Qian took a deep breath and shouted, "Fourth soul, stop." The golden-purple light paused as it hummed and then charged toward Zhu Qzi. Zhu Qzi sighed. He wanted to wait until the fourth soul had devoured all of the souls before using the method the previous Suzakus had thought of to capture it. Unfortunately, Du Qian had stopped it from devouring. Zhu Qzi couldn't say any more or his purpose would be exposed. Zhu Qzi continued to back up while he kept pointing at the air before him. A series of shattering sounds could be heard, causing Zhu Qzi to back up even faster. Many wounds the size of a needle appeared on him and blood flowed out of them. Every time a hole appeared, his expression became more ugly and his aura weakened. However, his blood began to cover the fourth soul. Zhu Xi's eyes became cold as he slapped his bag of holding and took out a small, red gourd. His hand formed a seal and he said, "Refine." With one word, a thread of white flame came out from the small gourd. The surrounding 1,000 feet immediately became a sea of fire. This fire was even stronger than the holy Suzaku flame. Let's see if your 3-metal soul is stronger than the celestial flame gourd. I am going to refine this fourth soul. Inside the sea of flames, the golden-purple needle appeared and turned red. Although it didn't melt, Zhu Qzi's blood slowly fused with the fourth soul during this refining. At this moment, the fourth soul quickly began to spin, causing a gust of wind that blew an opening in the sea of fire. "Soul, escape!" Du Qian shouted. The golden-purple needle disappeared and flew toward Zhu Qzi. Zhu Qzi's eyes lit up. A look of joy appeared in his face and he laughed. "Du Qian, since you don't want to hand over the soul flag, I won't insist on taking it, but I'll be taking this fourth soul." Zhu Qzi slapped his bag of holding and took out a small chunk of black mud. He spat some blood on the black mud, and then a strand of black gas came out from it. Zhu Qzi's hand guided the strand of black gas a few times to form a strange symbol. This old man uses his status as the current Suzaku, and gives 90% of my remaining lifespan to open the cultivation planet crystal. I want to use the stop domain that the cultivation union gifted to us. His right hand pointed at the symbol, and then it quickly flew out and disappeared 3 feet before Zhu Qzi. At this moment, everything within 1,000 feet paused. The moment the symbol disappeared, there was a flash of golden-purple light, and then the golden-purple needle appeared. Zhu Qzi reached out and caught the fourth soul. At this moment, time began to move again. Zhu Qzi stepped forward. His face revealed a fierce expression, and he reached toward Du Qian. Du Qian let out a sigh. He turned around to look at the cave that had been destroyed by the flame and closed his eyes. But just as Zhu Qzi reached out, a dark laugh came from where the cave that Wang Lin was in was. "Scram for this old man." Zhu Qzi's expression changed. He felt pain from his origin soul and felt fear that he had never felt after he became the Suzaku. Waves of forsaken immortal clan members were gathering inside the endless black cloud on the eastern side of the continent of Suzaku. In the center of the black cloud sat countless forsaken immortal clan members. They were all chanting in unison. The power of their tattoos had moved out from their bodies and floated in the air. The tattoo power quickly rose up to the air. Every 2 hours these clan members would use up all of the tattoo power in their bodies, and then another group would switch places with them to continue the chant. This process had lasted for several months. On this day, a middle-aged man wearing a grey robe appeared. He had no tattoos on his body other than a purple leaf on his left cheek that was emitting a purple glow. He stood there as he stared at the large amount of clan members in the center, and revealed a thoughtful look. Behind him followed 3 old men. The aura the 3 of them gave off was exactly the same as the 8-leaf old man who chased Wang Lin before. One of the old men respectfully said, "Fifth ancestor, it is time." The 4th ancestor has already activated it on the ancestral tree side. The middle-aged man nodded and said, "The ancestral tree was freed because the ancient ancestor gave up his life and used his body to break the 5-sword seal. We can't fail this time." The 4 subtrees of the ancestral tree have surrounded the continent of Suzaku. This time the country of Suzaku will be destroyed. The old man's eyes revealed a hint of excitement, but that quickly disappeared as he said, "Fifth ancestor, about second ancestor." The middle-aged man frowned and said, "Don't bother with him. He has been in the country of Suzaku for too long and thinks differently than us. HMPH, if it wasn't for his unwillingness to fight, we could have wiped out the country of Suzaku in that battle a few years ago. I just don't believe that the cultivation planet crystal that the country of Suzaku holds has the power he spoke of." The old man nodded and no longer spoke. "The people of the corpse sector here." The middle-aged man looked into the distance. A large coffin was quickly closing in from outside the eastern edge of the continent of Suzaku. On top of the coffin sat 3 people. The 3 of them all had white hair. Aside from the one in the middle, who was at the early stage of soul transformation, the other 2 were at the late stage of soul formation. The 3 of them were sitting on the coffin, which moved very fast. In the blink of an eye, they arrived before the black cloud. The tattoo symbols in the black cloud flashed to prevent them from entering. The early stage soul transformation old man from the corpse sect said, "I'm the elder of the corpse sect on planet Suzaku, and the 2 behind me are corpse deacons. I ask the Forsaken Immortal sect to open the tattoo formation." The tattoos inside the black cloud flashed again, and a tunnel appeared. The large coffin from the corpse sect quickly flew inside. The coffin stopped at the center of the black cloud. The early stage soul transformation elder from the corpse sect jumped down. Before him was the middle-aged man and the 3 8-leaf shamans. The middle-aged man calmly said, "Elder Sima, I have been waiting for you." The corpse sect elder laughed and said, "I'm late because I encountered some trouble on the way. Aside from delivering the corpses, I'm also here to tell your Forsaken Immortal clan a piece of news." The middle-aged man looked at the corpse sect elder with calm eyes as he waited for the news. The corpse sect elder's eyes lit up and with a smile that was not a smile he said, "Zhu Qzi went to the soul refining sect and is having a battle with Du Qian to steal the 1 billion soul flag." The middle-aged man's expression remained the same, then he smiled. "What was the result?" The corpse sect elder laughed. "That I don't know, but with my corpse sect's understanding of the current Suzaku, if he went, then he must be at least 80% confident. Your Forsaken Immortal clan will have to be careful." The middle-aged man's expression hadn't changed yet. He was just about to speak, when his expression suddenly changed. He looked toward Pailu at the northern end of the continent of Suzaku. From there he felt an aura that made him tremble. Zhu Qzi had long forgotten what pain from his origin soul felt like. Right now he felt the fear he had only felt back when he met the last generation Suzaku. Zhu Qzi was, after all, someone from a high position, so he quickly calmed himself and asked, "Your Excellency, who are you?" A ray of rainbow-colored light flashed by as Wang Lin appeared. He floated in the air with his hair flowing without any wind, but he gave off an extremely strange aura. His body was emitting a blue aura, a cold aura that could freeze anything in the world. The current Wang Lin was completely naked, translucent, and glistening. His eyes were no longer clear, but filled with an evil aura. Qian Feng's eyes were also filled with evil, but compared to Wang Lin's, it was like a campfire next to the sun. This evil aura inside Wang Lin's eyes only represented one word: arrogance. Arrogance, much arrogance, an extreme arrogance that saw everything in the world as below him and no one in the world could match him. He casually looked at Zhu Qzi. This gaze was several times brighter than lightning. Zhu Qzi's body trembled. At this moment, he really felt like he did back in the past. He felt the same fear from when he faced the previous Suzaku. He quickly backed up, and for the first time in a long time cold sweat came out from his forehead. You are Wang Lin." "No, you aren't Wang Lin." "Your Excellency, who are you?" Zhu Qzi took a deep breath, and hid the terror in his eyes. "This old man asked you which generation Suzaku you are." These words filled with arrogance came out of Wang Lin's mouth. His tone contained a "you have to answer" feel. Du Qian stared at the scene. When he looked at Wang Lin, he felt a strong sense of unfamiliarity. His time with Wang Lin wasn't short, So he was immediately able to tell that this person wasn't him. There wasn't any way for Wang Lin to have this kind of pressure, and this kind of I'm above everyone else arrogance. This type of pressure and arrogance could only be found on old monsters that have cultivated for countless years. Zhu Qzi didn't want to reply, but he involuntarily said, 14th generation Suzaku. Wang Lin pondered a bit before coldly looking at Zhu Qzi and saying, on the behalf of Yi Wuyo, this old man won't kill you. Now scram. Yi Wuyo. Du Qian was startled. He had never heard this name before. However, after Zhu Qzi heard this name, his expression changed like it never had before. He immediately backed up even more and the terror inside him could no longer remain hidden, so it showed on his face. Zhu Qzi took in a breath of cold air and his body shook, as if he had been hit by lightning. His gaze toward Wang Lin was no longer just filled with shock, it also contained a deep sense of horror. Yi Wuyo was a name that only every generation of Suzaku would know. No one else knew, not even the ancestors from the sects in Suzaku. They only knew that there was someone with the Daoist name of Suzaku. Yi Wuyo was the real name of the first generation Suzaku. As Zhu Qzi looked at the blue aura around Wang Lin's body, he recalled the history of the past Suzakus, until he locked onto one identity. At this moment, the terror in his eyes became even more intense. He respectfully clasped his hands toward Wang Lin without any hesitation and said, "Greetings, ancestor. Junior will leave now." With that, he quickly retreated. Du Qian's eyes lit up and he shouted, "Leave behind the fourth soul." Zhu Qzi stopped. His eyes showed that he was struggling to make a decision, and then he suddenly turned around and looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a trace of the past as he said, "Back then this old man owed Yi Wuyo. Forget it. Since you are using it to fight the Forsaken Immortal clan, this old man will lend it to you for 3 years. 3 years from now you will return it to me." Du Qian panicked and was about to speak when Wang Lin looked at him. When Du Qian looked back, he could no longer see Wang Lin. There was only an unfamiliar aura that said something like, "I'll kill you if you speak," and he knew that this person would kill him without any hesitation. Du Qian's heart trembled and he no longer dared to speak. Zhu Qzi let out a breath of relief. If that person wanted the fourth soul back no matter what, he might have had to fight him. However, from what he had heard about this person, Zhu Qzi lacked even the smallest amount of confidence in fighting him. Zhu Qzi clasped his hands and was about to leave. But Wang Lin's eyes showed a flash of arrogance and he said, "Since you have guessed this old man's identity, then you must know my rules. Are you just going to leave like this?" Zhu Qzi pondered a bit and raised his right hand. He waved his left hand and cut 2 fingers off his right hand. "This matter is Junior's fault. Are 2 fingers enough?" Wang Lin shook his head and arrogantly said, "Leave another one behind." Zhu Qzi clenched his teeth. He waved his left hand to cut off another finger. His face was pale as he looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin then said, "Scram." Zhu Qzi quickly left without turning his head. In the blink of an eye, he turned into a ray of light and disappeared. 100,000 kilometers away, Zhu Qzi clenched his teeth and let out a roar at the sky. Second generation Suzaku. How can he be still alive? How can he still be on planet Suzaku? How can it be? The third generation Suzaku schemed against him by luring foreign cultivators over. How is he not dead? He roared the entire way back, until he was above the country of Suzaku. He suddenly stopped as he looked back toward Pailu. The anger was now gone, but it was replaced with suspicion. Something is wrong. Going by what I know about the second generation Suzaku, there is no way he would go easy on me. Could it be that he has just awakened and was faking it? Part 1 end here.